Chapter 10 on publishing conflicting views. Unity of utterance. Those who speak to the people through our periodicals should preserve unity among themselves. Nothing that savors of dissension should be found in our publications. Satan is always seeking to cause dissension, for well he knows that by this means he can effectually counteract the work of God. We should not give place to his devices. Christ's prayer for his disciples was, that they all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that thou hast sent me. John 17:21. All true laborers for God will work in harmony with this prayer. In their efforts to advance the work, all will manifest that oneness of sentiment and practice which reveals that they are God's witnesses, that they love one another. To a world that is broken up by discord and strife, their love and unity will testify to their connection with heaven. It is the convincing evidence of the divine character of their mission. Testimonies, Volume 7, pages 156 and 157. No one has a right to start out on his own responsibility and advance ideas in our papers on Bible doctrines when it is known that others among us hold different opinions on the subject and that it will create controversy. Testimonies, Volume 5, page 534. Present a united front. Letters came to me from some attending the Healdsburg College in regard to Brother Blank's teachings in regard to the two laws. I wrote immediately protesting against their doing contrary to the light which God had given us in regard to all differences of opinion, and I heard nothing in response to the letter. It may never have reached you. If you, my brethren, had the experience that my husband and myself have had in regard to these known differences being published in articles in our papers, you would never have pursued the course you have, either in your ideas advanced before our students at the college, neither should it have appeared in the signs. Especially at this time should everything like differences be repressed. These young men are more self-confident and less cautious than they should be. You must, as far as difference is concerned, be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Even if you are fully convinced that your ideas of doctrines are sound, you do not show wisdom that the difference should be made apparent. I have no hesitancy in saying you have made a mistake here. You have departed from the positive directions God has given upon this matter, and only harm will be the result. This is not in God's order. You have now set the example for others to do as you have done, to feel at liberty to put in their various ideas and theories and bring them before the public, because you have done this. This will bring in a state of things that you have not dreamed of. It is no small matter for you to come out in the signs as you have done, and God has plainly revealed that such things should not be done. We must keep before the world a united front. Satan will triumph to see differences among Seventh-day Adventists. These questions are not vital points. Bring no differences into general meetings. To bring these differences into our general conferences is a mistake. It should not be done. There are those who do not go deep, who are not Bible students, who will take positions decidedly for or against, grasping at apparent evidence, yet it may not be truth, and to take differences into our conferences where the differences become widespread, thus sending forth all through the fields various ideas, one in opposition to the other, is not God's plan, but at once raises questionings, doubts, whether we have the truth, whether after all we are not mistaken and in error. The Reformation was greatly retarded by making prominent differences on some points of faith, and each party holding tenaciously to those things where they differed. We shall see eye to eye ere long, but to become firm and consider it your duty to present your views in decided opposition to the faith or truth, as it has been taught by us as a people, is a mistake, and will result in harm and only harm, as in the days of Martin Luther. Begin to draw apart and feel at liberty to express your ideas without reference to the views of your brethren, and a state of things will be introduced that you do not dream of. Differing views on minor points. My husband had some ideas on some points differing from the views taken by his brethren. I was shown that however true his views were, God did not call for him to put them in front before his brethren and create differences of ideas. while he might hold these views subordinate himself, once they are made public, minds would seize upon them, and just because others believe differently, would make these differences the whole burden of the message and get up contention and variance. There are main pillars of our faith, subjects that are of vital interest: the Sabbath, the keeping of the commandments of God. Speculative ideas should not be agitated, for there are peculiar minds that love to get some point that others do not accept, and argue and attract everything to that one point, urging that point, magnifying that point, when it is really a matter that is not of vital importance and will be understood differently. Twice I have been shown that everything of a character to cause our brethren to be diverted from the very points now essential for this time should be kept in the background. Christ did not reveal many things that were truth because it would create a difference of opinion and get up disputations. But young men who have not passed through this experience we have had would as soon have a brush as not. Nothing would suit them better than a sharp discussion. If these things come into our conference, I would refuse to attend one of them, for I have had so much light upon this subject that I know that unconsecrated and unsanctified hearts would enjoy this kind of exercise. Too late in the day, brethren, too late in the day. We are in the great day of atonement, a time when a man must be afflicting his soul, confessing his sins, humbling his heart before God, and getting ready for the great conflict. When these contentions come in before the people, they will think one has the argument and then that another directly opposed has the argument. The poor people become confused, and the conference will be a dead loss, worse than if they had had no conference. Now, when everything is dissension and strife, there must be decided efforts to publish with pen and voice those things that will reveal only harmony. How do you think I feel to see our two leading papers in contention? I know how these papers came into existence. I know what God has said about them, that they are one, that no variance should be seen in these two instrumentalities of God. They are one, and they must remain one, breathing the same Spirit, exercised in the same work, to prepare a people to stand in the day of the Lord, one in faith, one in purpose. The sickle was started in Battle Creek, but it was not designed to take the place of the signs, and I cannot see that it is really needed. The signs of the times is needed, and will do that which the sickle cannot. I know that if the signs is kept full of precious articles, food for the people, that every family should have it. But a pain comes to my heart every time I see the sickle. I say it is not as God would have it. If Satan can get in dissension among us as a people, he will only be too glad. I do not think that years will wipe out the impressions made at our last conference. I know how these things work. I am satisfied that we must have more of Jesus and less of self. If there is a difference upon any parts of the understanding of some particular passage of Scripture, then do not be with pen or voice making your difference apparent and making a breach where there is no need of this. Unity on fundamental truths. We are one in faith in the fundamental truths of God's Word, and one object must be kept in view constantly, that is, harmony and cooperation must be maintained without compromising one principle of truth, and while constantly digging for the truth as for hidden treasure, be careful how you open new and conflicting opinions. We have a worldwide message. The commandments of God and the testimonies of Jesus Christ are the burden of our work. To have unity and love for one another is the great work now to be carried on. There is danger of our ministers dwelling too much on doctrines, preaching altogether too many discourses on argumentative subjects, when their own souls need practical godliness. There has been a door thrown open for variance and strife and contention and differences which none of you can see but God. His eye traces the beginning to the end, and the magnitude of mischief God alone knows. The bitterness, the wrath, the resentment, the jealousies, the hard burnings provoked by controversies of both sides of the question cause the loss of many souls. May the Lord give us to see the need of drinking from the living fountain of the water of life. Its pure streams will refresh and heal us and refresh all connected with us. Oh, if the hearts were only subdued by the Spirit of God. If the eye was single to God's glory, what a flood of heavenly light would pour upon the soul. He who spake as never man spake was an educator upon earth. After his resurrection, he was an educator to the lonely, disappointed disciples traveling to Emmaus. To those assembled in the upper chamber, he opened to them the Scriptures concerning himself, and caused their hearts to bound with a holy, new, and sacred hope and joy. Our Redeemer liveth to make intercession for us. And now, if we will daily learn in the school of Christ, if we will cherish the lessons he will teach us in meekness and lowliness of heart, we will have so large a measure of the Spirit of Jesus that self will not be interwoven into anything that we may do or say. The eye will be single to the glory of God. We need to make special efforts to answer the prayer of Christ, that we may be one as he is one with the Father. Articles on redemption. The wonders of redemption are dwelt upon altogether too lightly. We need these matters presented more fully and continuously in our discourses and in our papers. We need our own hearts to be deeply stirred with these deep and saving truths. There is danger of keeping the discourses and the articles in the paper like Cain's offering, Christless. Baptized with the Spirit of Jesus, there will be a love, a harmony, a meekness, a hiding of the self in Jesus, that the wisdom of Christ will be given, the understanding enlightened. That which seems dark will be made clear. The faculties will be enlarged and sanctified. He can lead those he is fitting for translation to heaven, to loftier heights of knowledge and broader views of truth. The reason that the Lord can do so little for those who are handling weighty truths is that so many hold these truths apart from their life. They hold them in unrighteousness. Their hands are not clean. Their hearts are defiled with sin. And should the Lord work for them in the power of His Spirit, corresponding with the magnitude of the truth which He has opened to the understanding, it would be as though the Lord sanctioned sin. That which our people must have interwoven with their life and character is the unfolding of the plan of redemption, and more elevated conceptions of God and His holiness brought into the life. The washing of the robes of character in the blood of the Lamb is a work that we must attend to earnestly, while every defect of character is to be put away. Thus are we working out our own salvation with fear and trembling. The Lord is working in us to will and to do of His good pleasure. We need Jesus abiding in the heart, a constant living wellspring. Then the streams flowing from the living fountain will be pure, sweet, and heavenly. Then the foretaste of heaven will be given to the humble in heart. Closed doors of difference. Truths connected with the second coming of Christ in the clouds of heaven will be talked of, written upon more than now. There is to be closed every door that will lead to points of difference and debate among brethren. If the old man was purged from every heart, then there would be greater safety in discussion, but now the people need something of a different character. There is altogether too little of the love of Christ in the hearts of those who claim to believe the truth, while all their hopes are centered in Jesus Christ, while His Spirit pervades the soul. Then there will be unity, although every idea may not be exactly the same on all points. The Bible is yet but dimly understood. A lifelong prayerful study of its sacred revealings will leave still much unexplained. It is the deep movings of the Spirit of God that is needed to operate upon the heart, to mold character, to open the communication between God and the soul, before the deep truths will unravel. Man has to learn himself before God can do great things for him. The little knowledge imparted might be 100-fold greater if the mind and character were balanced by the holy enlightenment of the Spirit of God. Altogether too little meekness and humility are brought into the work of searching for the truth as for hidden treasures. And if the truth were taught as it is in Jesus, there would be 100-fold greater power, and it would be a converting power upon human hearts. But everything is so mingled with self that the wisdom from above cannot be imparted. Letter 37, 1887.